So yeah,
So yeah. Like I was saying, guys. So I say no, but that's a really nice ski mask. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're here to talk about some Ring of Honor. Steven Jensen, Joseph Hulbert, Robert O'Neill. We were just having a blast on the pre-show, just telling jokes. I think y'all caught the end of that there. We didn't know we were live. We're live now.
It happens, man. We have so much fun, it like spills into the show. You know, we can't contain ourselves, Jensen. We can't.
I know. What's up, y'all? All hail, everybody out there. This was supposed to go out on Sean's Twitter. I don't know what's going on with that. That isn't working for some reason, but you should be seeing this on a bunch of Twitter pages like me and Joseph's, and I think Jeremy's on there. We're also on YouTube. Everyone who's here, we appreciate y'all. We didn't really know how to start this off. I know the show is as we like to say, a bit cursed because we can never get all of us together, but we're here to talk about Ring of Honor and watch some Ring of Honor. But how you guys doing today? Starting with you, Robert. I know you jump in right after work.
Yeah, I'm doing well, man. You know, it was snowing here today, which I'm not a fan of. But what are you gonna do, right? It's December. You got to deal with that sometime. But yeah, it's rough, man.
Yeah. What about you, Joe?
I'm very mad right now, Steven Jensen, because I have just realised as I sat here and listened to you do the intro to this program that for some reason I have not let you do the intro the whole time. And folks. Professional Steven Jensen, blue tick there for a reason. Let me tell you, very impressive. Bob, would you agree?
I'm waiting for them to get rid of that, but I see some people losing their check marks, and I'm like, I don't know how I've slid through the cracks as long as I have, but
that would be bad, bro. Don't. If you lose the check mark, just never tweet again. You have no choice.
I've lost all credibility if I lose that check mark. Like,
wrestling Twitter's proven one thing: if you have the check mark, you're a legit. You know. Definitely worth reading and following, right? That's the way it goes. No, but I'm good. We have some stuff to talk about. We have, as you said, the show's cursed. We are not going in chronological order with the Ring of Honor Classics, but we have a famous final battle match which feels fitting. So, yes, I'm pretty fired up, pal, I must say.
Hell yeah. You guys been having good weeks or anything really been going on outside of wrestling before we get into it? Or even within wrestling that you guys are kind of interested or been liking?
Well, Bob knows my answer to this, don't you, Bob?
Yeah, you're watching NXT tonight.
I am. I watched the end of Raw last night. I have bought a 50-foot WWF flag to hang out in front of my house, my mansion here. Many say Fed dead. I say Fed red, as in red hot. That's what I'm going to try and get over in the coming days here. You can actually sign up on Patreon and watch NXT 2.0 live in about 2 hours. That would be terrible.
Cool.
But other than that, I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. I don't want to lower the mood here. We're having fun. I'm a little bit bummed out about, this Ring of Honor show has a really weird vibe. And the promotion for it has got like morbid and somber and it's strange. And I am someone, I sit there and I think back a lot. And this week, man, it's like it's coming back to the amount of these final battles I've watched, all of the ups, the downs. It's sad, man. This could be the last roll of the dice. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. And I mean, like the promotion in general, like they seem to be really leaning into, this might be it. We might not be back from this. And I get why they do it, but just continually being reminded of it is a bit of a bummer.
It's also weird because, and we can get into this, because look, let's be honest, guys. The card is good. And there's matches that we should talk about, but the story is not the matches on the card. Let's be real. We can't, I think there's something, I appreciate them being as honest as they are, but it's very weird when you consider that in the original statement, there was no hint they were closing down, and instead they just said, we'll be back in April. Now, we all assumed, oh, God, they're closing down. But the promotion never said that. And now all of a sudden it's like, well, this is it, right? It's just... I mean, the Briscoes, I don't know if you saw this, guys, but the Briscoes promo, they literally said, we're going to be the last Ring of Honor Tag Champs. It's like, sure, man. I don't know.
Yeah, it is. It is weird. It is weird because, like you said, it's a good card. There's a lot of great talent on the show, but it really does feel like the end of Ring of Honor, like in a lot of ways. Like even if they do come back, I don't think it'll be anything. I'm not necessarily saying it'll be worse, but I think it'll be a lot different than like the Ring of Honor that we're used to seeing. I think it'll be much more like a super indie, like we've talked about before, like just getting the best people available once every handful of months or whatever they can do a show. But I think this is the end of like how we know Ring of Honor.
I agree. And I guess a good topic to kind of get into here is like, what does that mean necessarily, right? Because, we've been doing these classic watch-alongs, and it has to be said, a lot of our fondest memories or our favorite Ring of Honor moments are from a time where it didn't operate the way it has for the last 10 years, right? Where guys would just kind of, they get signed and they'd go out on their back and that'd be that. But I guess what I'm saying is a return to that wouldn't be bad. It's just really hard right now to believe that's what we're going to get, I know that was the report initially, but it's just, I don't know, man. There's an awful somber tone. Like the interviews, some of the guys are saying, well, they're being optimistic, but it feels like everyone on this roster, other than maybe Gresham, who's kind of, he feels like he's tied to that, what this brand is. It feels like they're all going to look elsewhere after Saturday, and that's crazy. If the Briscoes, this is what I'll say, if the Briscoes go anywhere else before April, I'm not too sure they're coming back in April because, they've worked there the whole time. So it's hard to say. In theory, I think it could work, but I don't really believe we're going to find out. Does that make sense? I'm kind of torn on that front.
Yeah. And Gresham, like you said, is really, he's made it pretty clear that he's down to do whatever they want. If they're staying or if they're going to keep running shows, he wants to be a part of it. But then you also look at the Briscoes being a great example of seeing what they're doing in GCW, which has been awesome. And then you just think man, if they could just get on these, get on some other shows too. They've been so kind of for lack of a better term, kind of hidden away in Ring of Honor for so long. For those of us who follow it, we all recognize the Briscoes as one of, if not the best independent wrestling tag team, if you're talking about just on the indies. But I think they rarely come up in greatest of all time when you take into account all the other companies, and they probably should be in that conversation. But it's I'd like to see them in front of more eyes. But I think what they've done in GCW, like I said, has been really, really, really good so far. And they're not the only ones. There's a lot of people that could branch out and be great outside of Ring of Honor, but it's just hard to know because we don't know the future of the actual company. So it's hard to know really how this is all going to work out.
Yes, look, Bob's the perfect example because Bob, you're going to watch Final Battle this weekend, right? For the sake of our programming and am I right in saying this will be the first actual Briscoes match you'll see, or one of the first, right?
Yeah, no, I think it is.
And that's not, I'm not saying that as a dunk because you're in the majority of wrestling fans. Because as Jensen said, unfortunately, Ring of Honor's reach is what it is. I think anyone that's seen them, I think they're definitely one of the best tag teams ever. They've been one of the best teams in the world for nearly, how many years we're looking at now? 18 years, 19 years. They're a special, special team. But if tree falls in the forest, right? It's that deal. I am intrigued by it. Now, here's the one thing I will say, though, as we kind of look at Final Battle. They're winning these tag titles, right? You got, if there's a chance it's the end, Briscoes need winning those tag titles.
I'd agree unless Ring of Honor actually is going to keep running. Because, the advantage of having Taven and Bennett holding those titles, and we've talked about it before on this show, but, for instance, when they pop up on NWA, for instance, at least there's some sort of Ring of Honor presence. People are still at least talking about the company to some degree when they pop up with those belts elsewhere. Right. I guess the same could be said about the Briscoes if they win the titles back. I just feel like the Briscoes are way more likely to just catch on with another company.
That's fair. Yeah.
But it's not to say that they aren't loyal and they wouldn't stay with Ring of Honor, but it's now that they're getting to kind of dip their toes out elsewhere, they're probably going to be this is it's it's been a long time since they've been in front of a crowd like a GCW crowd. And it's that's got to be infectious and them wanting more of that instead of being in front of no one at Ring of Honor, unfortunately,
It's hard because there's no way to say this without sounding dismissive, but OGK are a good team, the Kingdom, but they're a harder team to find a home for than the Briscoes. That's what we're basically, they're a good team, but we're less certain they would be signed by AEW to massive deals. And it is, I agree with you. I think, especially because Bennett was just a free agent, 6 months, a year ago. And to be fair to him, he has been great in Ring of Honor. since he came back. So he's, if he gets a contract, he's earned it. But I can't disagree. But sentimentally, it's like, man, put the belts in the Briscoes and give them 20 minutes and let them tear the place down one last time. That's where I'm at, you know.
Bob, I know you're a big WWE guy. With Mike Bennett, like, what's like kind of your opinion of him? If like maybe you've only like seen him there, like, do you even have an opinion because he like did so little there?
Yeah, no, not really. Like, he had hype when he came in, and I really liked pairing him with Maria, and then they were unable to really do too much with it. And I mean, I liked what I saw, but yeah, I've never like seen the guy that has had all this hype.
He's a guy that I think, and I mean this with love, because I've become a decently sized fan. Like, I think he's good, right? And in WWE even, he had a good run on 205 Live when I was covering that show. The biggest problem with Bennett was he was a guy that got so much of that hype that then the opposite happened, where people underrated him by like dismissing him. Does that make sense? We're like, oh, this guy ain't that good. And then it went so far that now it's like, I think he's been underrated the last couple of years. He's been good in this run. I mean, the match he had with Gresham, I thought was great. Or whatever pay-per-view that was, maybe Best of the World, I forget. But they had a really good match. I mean, I'll say this. If they do close this pay-per-view as tag champs, I don't think any of us can be like, oh, man, they don't represent Ring of Honor. Taven and Bennett, they've got every right to that claim too. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. I don't know, Jensen, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm actually one of the people that was never that high on Bennett, like even pre-WWE. I thought he was okay, but I didn't think he was like great. And then his WWE run like was really underwhelming, at least the bit that I saw of it. I was actually there live at the pay-per-view that he debuted in the WWE. I think it was like TLC in St. Louis or something like
Money
that.
in the Bank, yeah.
Money in the Bank, that was it, yep. And I'll never forget the just mark of a fan that was sitting in front of me in the stands. And I'll never forget, he was like, I don't know why I think he overheard me talking about wrestling with the person like next to me and like just wanted to like interject himself into like my conversation. So he like turned around and was like, hey man, Mike Bennett's going to debut tonight? And I was like, well, I do now. Like, like, why would you ruin that for everybody here? Like, and then like the next segment, Mike Bennett and Maria Kanellis walked out. And I was like, did it make you feel good to know that ahead of time? Like what, like, jeez, man, like rooting for everybody.
That's incredible. That's peak wrestling fan shit right there, man.
Yeah, dude. Oh, I have just stories for days about my experience at AEW this past Wednesday when the fans there. But anyway, the main point I'm trying to make is I was never a big Mike Bennett fan, but I think right now he's doing the best work of his career. I think that him and Taven mutually benefit from being a tag team, because I think Taven was the lamest Ring of Honor champion they've ever had. So like outside of maybe Dalton Castle, but like, so you had like, it was just one of those things where you want to reward the hard work and like the longevity in the company. And they've always been solid wrestlers, but I think they're way better as a tag team than they are individually. Yeah. So that's just me personally.
It happens. Though. It's sometimes with the push, you can like actually kind of hurt some of your hardest workers. And I think Taven has a lot to offer. I think as a tippy top player, it did the opposite again, like just with Bennett, where it's like people then overstated how bad he was, right? Because I don't think he should have been world champ. But, in hindsight, you look at that match now and it's like, well, things happen. But is this, I'm looking at the card here. I think this is my pick for what I assume will be the match of the night. I think with this circumstance, the Briscoes are probably going to bleed buckets and just, I think they're going to be pretty fired up here. Bob, I know you're less familiar than Jensen and I. Which match jumps off the card in a match of the night sense?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of feels like it'll be Bandito and Gresham, just because that'll probably be the main event. That'll just have the most importance. Shane Taylor and Kenny King could be a lot of fun as well. I've liked Shane Taylor in the small doses we've seen of him, but yeah, I'll go with one of those two.
Jensen, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of low hanging fruit, but I mean, Gresham and Bandito, like that should be really, really good. Yeah. But it's same with the tag match. Like I think those are probably the two that stand out the most for me. I think that Shane Taylor Promotions in the Righteous, that 6-man match, I think that'll be kind of an underrated banger too. I'm a big O'Shea Edwards guy, and so like I really want to see him doing more. And he is the kind of guy, actually pretty much the entire Shane Taylor Promotions, like I think they could be really I think they could work in any company, like including the WWE, just because they look so credible and they work really well and they're very Quan and Moses is like everything that I think WWE wanted out of the Authors of Pain. I think they could go in and pretty much do what they didn't get to do. And like O'Shea Edwards, I think just fits anywhere because he's a big athletic dude that's just really solid at everything he does.
Yeah.
The Righteous I'm not quite as high on because the Vincent thing comes across kind of like a great value Bray Wyatt type gimmick for me. But like they can all go in the ring. So like I am looking forward to that one.
Yeah, Shane Taylor he's a fascinating one in that there's like a perception of Shane from people that don't watch Ring of Honor because he was kind of a guy that like the general wrestling fan saw as Keith Lee's tag partner, right?
Right. And they used to wear like suits or whatever.
Yes, it was interesting. Yeah. Keith Lee is obviously so dynamic offensively that he was kind of like, he's the other guy. And I think for some people, he's never shaken that perception because they don't watch. But like, if you've seen him over the last, I guess we're looking at now 2 years in Ring of Honor, maybe more, to be honest, he has become like a real player. And I think there's a chance that if he lands in the right spot, he's going to shock people. I really do think that. Like, I think there's this kind of idea that he's not, like him being pushed in Ring of Honor is an indictment of the promotion. It's like someone that's watched it. He's one of their best promos. He has this completely unique style in ring where the way they build to his right hand in every match is awesome. It's one of my favorite bits in the promotion. And it's like, Kenny King, has been there for an awful long time. Obviously had the gap in the middle. I don't think Bob's wrong for picking that match as like, that could be very good. I mean, the promo stuff's been strong. They've told a hell of a story with that deal. So
yeah. And it's a fight without honor. So like, there's a lot they can do there. Mm-hmm. I've heard Sean Ross Sapp talk about it when talking about Shane Taylor, but he's got to be one of like the best, like, how does he put it? It's like he turned out being way better in that promotion than I think Ring of Honor could have ever like hoped for. Like he came in and they probably were hoping like, oh, maybe we'll get like a good like mid card guy, and then he like soared past most of the roster, and it's like, oh shit, this guy's like this. You could build a company around this guy potentially.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it feels awful dumb to fantasy book after Final Battle, right? But like they had a dynamic there for a little bit with the Foundation and Shane Taylor Promotions, and that stylistic clash, and it was really explored it.
Mm-hmm.
They never fully explored it, but that would be something to see if it does continue. If it doesn't, I don't know. But yeah, Shane Taylor and Kenny King has been like that. He turned on Shane. How long are we looking now? It's like 10 months.
It's been like a year. It feels like so
because it was his title shot, and Kenny. It's worth watching the videos they put on their YouTube because they are actually excellent. The hype videos. Now, anything else on this card? Because I don't like the match by match predictions. As I've said, there's such little context because of the state of the promotion. But is there any other matches that stand out that are worth talking about before we move?
I didn't realize this was happening on the show until just now, but like I just now realized that that other 6-man tag match, Tony Depp and Homicide and Brody against Hot Sauce, Rust, and Eli Isom, that'll be really, really good. That honestly might be the best match on the whole show, depending on how much time they give that.
Right, yeah, because obviously there's a dynamic with those tags of like, is it a case of just getting guys on the show, or are you going to like position them to succeed and give them, because even if you give them 10 minutes, if it's formatted and structured a certain way, they can steal the show. So, this card is, we have to be honest about it. I mean, it says a lot about a lot of different things like promotion. But the one thing that you've always said, and it's true, is like, look at the talent pool. There's a lot of guys there that if we were starting a promotion tomorrow, we would circle and say we should sign this guy. So there's a lot to like. I think it'll be a good show because everyone's going to work so hard. Now, the big kind of elephant in the room, and Bob and I talked about this a little bit via to WhatsApp that I made him download just for me. Surprises. Now, I think for the most part, Ring of Honor is basically like distanced themselves from the idea that there's going to be returning legends, right? Like they haven't really leaned into that idea. The card is
not
full.
not like Impact does for all their big shows.
Yeah.
They're always like, what surprises will there be? Like it's all
Exactly.
yeah.
And like, look, here's the thing with that. When the news broke, some of us had, we kind of went crazy and was like, fuck it, book Loki versus Danielson.
Yeah.
They've got their own roster they want to put on the show, and rightly so. I do have to ask though, Bob, do you expect any familiar faces, any legends? What do you think?
I mean, it kind of feels like Danielson could show up, right? Like he's not going to have a match, I don't think, but like if given the option, like one of Danielson or Punk will show up, I would pick Danielson. I mean, it could be neither of them, but
see, it's like I don't think you're wrong for that. In fact, you could be proven exactly right. I think Punk is so sentimental about ROH, it would not shock me, man. I'm not predicting it, but you hear him talk about Ring of Honor, man. That time meant a lot to him. It would be crazy, right? Imagine him coming out of Final Battle.
That'd be wild, dude. Yeah. Watch like the pre-show wild card 10-man tag be like Danielson, Punk, Kingston, like all these stars on the pre-show.
That would be the greatest thing ever. I don't know. What do you think, Jensen? Are we going to get any surprises?
I don't know, and I don't want to get my hopes up. Like it would make sense for like a Danielson or a Punk, or like we talked about him before. Like it'd be cool to see Chris Hero just pop up just because we hadn't seen him in a while.
Sure.
Like. I mean, if Samoa Joe is like allowed to show up anywhere else, like I think that, like what harm would that do the WWE in any way, shape, or form having Samoa Joe pop up on Ring of Honor?
Exactly.
Probably their last show ever. It's not like they're really like letting him out to competition or anything like that. Like, so it would be cool to see. But it'd be cool to see just even if they just show some like familiar faces, like maybe some guys in the front row, like Paul London's in the front row or something, just watching from like just something. I don't know. So I guess at the end of the day, I think it would be great if there was some surprises, but I'm not going to I don't want to get my hopes up for it. Right. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it does seem, in fairness to the promotion, they've not really fueled those flames, right? It would be on us, but I think I'll say this much. I think it'd be really cool if we got some video messages, and if that other promotion didn't let their guys do that, that to me would be like almost new low shit in terms of promotional nonsense, I mean, not new low in many other ways, but there are guys there. Joe's an obvious one. Roddy Strong is an obvious one, obviously. Give me a little 15-second message. Just a little. It's what the show's built on. It's all rather sad anyway. It might as well make me cry while I'm watching professional wrestling,
the best video message would be Davey Richards because he can't use technology. Seeing him trying to
that was great.
Take man. There's some really good. There was a shoot interview years ago that was one of the funniest wrestling related things I've ever watched, where Davey Richards is doing a shoot interview with Kevin Steen. This was for RF Video. This is not too long before Steen signed with the WWE. Within a couple of years, probably him signing, and Steen is sitting there. So Davey Richards years ago got his Twitter hacked. So he was on Twitter and then somebody else took over his Twitter and was tweeting and everyone thought it was Davey Richards for months. And Davey's so bad with technology, he didn't even know this was happening until Kevin Steen started reading these tweets out for him. And they were the funniest, it's Davey Richards, quote unquote, Davey Richards at home watching Raw, yeah, go get him, Kane. Yeah, get him. It's Davey Richards would be sitting there cheering on Kane from his couch at home. So funny. But now I'm seeing all this stuff about him versus technology and all this stuff. But he's a guy they should have got to wrestle on the show. Davey Richards is totally available. But
that is a good point. I mean, he's it's been nice to see him kind of rebrand, because since he's come back, his rep has been nothing but positive.
Yep.
The
only negative was the no showing kind of stigma he got, right?
Before he left, it was he was always a guy that people knocked for taking himself seriously, and it's well, whatever. That's never bothered me. But since he's come back, people haven't seemed to be having fun with having him back in wrestling, and that video was tremendous. So it would be nice if he was there. It feels like it'd be a kind of an easy fit. But again, they seem to be approaching it differently. So we'll see. Now, speaking of two guys that could be in an interesting 2022 ahead. We'll see about that. Maybe we'll get into a little bit as the match goes on. We're going to watch along now. I think the video is in the description. I believe.
Yeah, I believe it is. I was looking earlier. Yeah.
Okay, so if not, or if you can't get whatever, just Kevin Steen, Generico, Fight Without Honor. It has 2.4 million views.
My God.
Which is, well, that's more than the people that watch SmackDown or Raw at this point, which is not ideal, but I won't get into that here. This is a famous feud that legitimately has lived the whole decade because they was wrestling a lot this year in WWE, right, Bob? This year? There's a WrestleMania.
Yes, that was a WrestleMania match, I believe, right? Yeah.
How crazy is that, man? They wrestled at WrestleMania this year. We're about to go back to December 2010. Before we hit play here, Jensen, like rough outline on just memories of this feud, and then we'll get into it as we go, obviously.
So it was a long feud. Obviously, like they were a tag team, and they were a great tag team. And eventually, Steen turned on Generico.
Yep.
And a big part of the storyline was that I thought was really, really well done. Was and I remember Steen making a T-shirt out of it too. Like there was this really graphic like beat down that he put on Generico one night, and he unmasked him, and then he put the mask on a chair with like blood dripping off of it.
Yes.
And like that was I remember that being so cool because also like Steve Corino was involved in this feud, and it also involved Colby Corino, Steve Corino's son, who is now a wrestler on the Indies. That's how long ago that was, which is wild. But it was a real blood feud. I mean, it was like it's kind of like the story that has been since the beginning of time in wrestling. Like you're a really successful tag team and like brothers, and then one turns on the other. But they just took like the violence and like how personal it was way past like anything I think I'd ever seen before.
Yeah, and we're gonna see some of that here. I think in a lot of ways that turn. I mean, Steen was great beforehand, but that set the stage for the guy that everyone's come to love. I think it's fair to say. So, with that in mind, fire it up. Kevin Steen versus El Generico. Jensen, I remember the last time we did this, which feels like years ago. You revealed that not only are you great at presenting and introducing the show, you're also the best countdown man in the business. So count us down, brother. Let's get this show on the road.
All right. Who's ready? Y'all ready?
Ready.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Hitting play now.
Incredible. That'll never not pop me. The energy's just different, We get Bob to do it one day.
Hey, speaking of just different, I know you mentioned NXT. I did watch Takeover, or not Takeover, whatever they call War Games.
Yeah.
My main takeaway from it is like, man, hair versus hair is so played out, right? Like the whole they got to start going for pubes versus pubes. Like that's where it's at going forward. That'll get me to watch NXT again.
I would love to see the rating for that, man. That'd be incredible.
Winner keeps the loser's pubes in a Ziploc bag and do whatever you want with them.
I don't know what you thought of the show. Like, people was a little bit hard on me because I reviewed it relatively positively. I thought the matches were better than I expected. I'll be honest. Like, the men's War Games was way better than I thought it would be. So,
yeah, I thought it was all right. I'm gonna watch tonight though because I want to know who the shaman is. They hooked me.
Oh man, they got you.
Well, I like MSK. I've always liked those dudes.
Yeah, good team.
Yeah.
But Ring of Honor, we got what's that shirt? It's Steen. What's he holding? I can't tell.
Yeah, my screen's too small. I know Bob's got it on his massive television at home there in the mansion.
Trying to see. Yeah,
if people could see how I watch this, they would pop tremendously because it's like the corner of the screen. I got more sound than image at this point. So Meech brings it up.
Yes.
I think this is in like the midst of the Cornette stuff.
Yeah, it's got to be right around the same time because coming out of this feud, it was like Kevin Steen was like the hottest thing in all of indie wrestling, and Jim Cornette. People can say whatever they want. I know there's varying opinions on him, but like one that I think that we're all on the same page when it comes to him is like the fact that he basically took Steen off of their programming because he thought he was too fat is like such a joke. Like He was like you said, he was the hottest thing in the whole company. And then it was like, well, but he's not in good shape. It's like, well, he is in good shape. He just chubby. Like, get over it. Like,
yeah, he didn't get the audience. That was there's like other stuff he did where, like, it made sense in a traditional fashion. Like, he would do the deal where it's like, this is our TV main event. The other matches are not going to go past a certain time, right? Which is old school wrestling. Brother, Gabe used to just, like, Ring of Honor fans didn't want that. Like, you have to appeal to your niche at the end of the day. You can't lose those in the pursuit of imaginary casual fans. But I like this time frame, because then eventually when he comes back, they put the belt on Steen, right?
yes.
And then they circle back to this feud in a couple of years for Ladder Wars. I think it's 2 years after this. That's 2012. So, yeah. So, it's a fascinating time. Like, Cornette obviously has his story, as he usually does. And it's very colourful. And there's probably stuff in it that's true. There's probably stuff in it that isn't true. But it was quite the time.
I want to know how big of a mark I was, especially, I mean, I will always be a giant mark for pro wrestling. I've made fun of the term, but like at the end of the day, we're all marks if we're talking about this and we're adults. But like there's a guy in the crowd that I recognize. I just saw him in there. He was called Monoxide on YouTube. Remember that guy? You know what I'm talking about?
I believe I do, yes.
Oh man, like that was back in the YouTube shooter days of the YWC. He was a big ICP fan of Juggalo, ran with the hatchet,
Well,
drink a lot of Faygo. So
it's what, like, if and I'm getting ahead of myself here. If Sami Zayn is to leave WWE, like, he can't be Generico full time, but we absolutely get like a couple Generico showings, right? Like, he would 100% be him once or twice, just for the sake of, you have to. It's just the rules, Yeah.
Do you think you wouldn't go back to doing it just because he's so well known, like worldwide, as Sami Zayn now, like without the mask?
That's why he would generally avoid it, but I could, like, for the certain predicament, because it would just be a part. And honestly, it probably wouldn't even be in the major promotion he landed in. It would be like a random spot show, like, that's not wrestling now. I mean, bro, I'm looking at Danielson wrestling as Infinito and Cody's Fuego. Like, it's, fans are so accepting of that shit. They would pop huge for Generico being back.
Yeah, I would love it.
I always remember the reason. So I picked this match from Ladder Wars because I think I prefer it. But if not, it's the first ones that makes more sense anyway. The blood on Steen, I always remember. Like, it's spraying. It's insane.
Yeah,
absolutely insane.
Yeah. No, I just noticed that. Like, he's bleeding pretty good.
Yeah, he's like leaking. Right, it's different. God bless, man. Look, I'm sure that no ladder is nice to bump on, but look at that thing.
Right. Those are like actually just like from Home Depot.
Yeah.
Like, those haven't been gimmicked at all. Like,
see, now I'm thinking, like, if Cornette was at this, if this was his reign, because I forget the timelines mixed up, he must have hated this shit, right?
Sure.
They've already got like weaponry involved. They're gonna go real long. He must have despised it. It was critically acclaimed though. Like, this whole feud was.
I remember this. This was a really big deal when it happened. Like, because it used to be, for me to like order iPay-per-view, especially like in these days, like when it was harder. Like, I had to really pick and choose the things I was buying. Like, and like I remember feeling like I was totally getting my money's worth every time I ordered anything that had to do with these two guys. And they do a lot of this stuff. Kevin Steen writes a lot in blood, like throughout this feud, like what he's doing now. Very, very insane. But then again, it's like I'm so desensitized. That's so sick. I'm so desensitized to this because now I'm used to seeing people putting like gossip plates in each other's heads and like and like meat skewers and stuff. Yeah, man.
Here's the thing about Steen that's I think maybe his greatest strength. Of all of the great wrestlers in the world, who is as equally brilliant, heel or babyface, as Kevin? And what I mean by that is, as a character, he's one of the best in all of wrestling as a heel. Right? He is evil. Just the most sinister, brutal character you'll see. But I prefer he's in ring as a babyface because he just lets loose, right?
Mm-hmm.
That sort of stuff. In Ring of Honor, he'll do it regardless because all how. But the idea that he's an absolute can't miss main event heel or babyface. I'm not saying it's unique to him only, but like he's one of the best examples. He has to be.
Yeah, I would agree because I mean it's not like a bunch of people jump off the page at you. I mean he's definitely in there. Danielson's in there.
There you go. Nailed it, Bob. Danielson's the other one. But yeah, other than that, I don't know. Jensen, any names come to mind?
Generico comes to mind because he's had runs as but Sean too, like Shawn Michaels. Yeah. But Steen was so like ruthless. Not ruthless aggression, but just like ruthless. He like the thing with him and like the WWE is that they can't like he just can't go there with that company with what they are. Like like even as a heel, seeing him package pile driving people was like entertaining, because it's like a cool move, but it's a move he can't use in the WWE. Like there are certain things he just isn't allowed to do there, which is understandable. Like I get it, but it's like, I don't know. Because as a baby face, he comes across to me on WWE way more like kind of like any other baby face. Like, like he's good at, he does a lot of cool moves. But I think he's so damn good as a heel, but like you can't, it was similar to Jon Moxley in a lot of ways. Like when he was with the WWE, I kept wanting to see like the CZW, like psycho version of Jon Moxley, but like we had to get like a really watered down, like PG, wearing a gas mask because the city smells that he's in and stuff. And it was just like, this is so, and then he leaves and it's like, oh wow, okay, yeah, this is the guy that I was waiting for, and that's why I think there's so much intrigue and people wanted to see Kevin Steen leave and go to AEW because they would be able to get like this guy again,
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think tonally there's just a difference, right? Like he seems unhinged and dangerous here, but not in the way where they're like having the camera on his face after every near fall and he's, it's just different. Look at that. Good Lord, man.
I will say this too about Steen, which I think is kind of funny, is like, I don't even know how to say this, but like he has like that I guess this is before he got the Brahma Bull tattoo. But like he had that Brahma Bull tattoo and he's admitted like he did it because of The Rock. Like that's 100% a Rock tattoo. And then like when The Rock got his like covered up into the more like the bigger thing, Kevin Steen also changed his like right after. And it just like reminds me of like The Office, like when like Michael Scott shows up to work and like Ryan has a goatee, so then he also goes and like shaves his beard into a goatee and stuff. Like I just always thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah. God, look at the blood here, man.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
That's a lot. I just pulled up the card here. I wanted to see some of the matches that were on this show. Opening match, Kenny King and Rhett Titus, who were on
All Night Express
show. Yep. They defeated Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly.
Oh, wow.
What happened to those guys?
Future Shock.
There you go. They were a hell of a team, by the way.
They were. That's the first I saw of both of those guys was that tag team. Yep.
The Undisputed Era faction had like 3 great teams within it, which was like I don't think they used it to its maximum. They got pretty good TV out of it.
I think that they dropped the ball on Undisputed Era by never pairing Roddy and Fish.
Yeah,
I would have liked to see that tag team. Well, especially if Kyle was going to be more of a singles guy over time. Like I would have liked to see that.
Because
anyway,
initially, like Roddy was the singles, right? Like, he was the mid card singles,
right?
And then obviously the last 18 months they went with Kyle, and as you said, I think Bobby got hurt. I want to say,
yeah,
I don't know. Bobby, like he struggled to stay healthy too, there, right? Which was a shame. But.
Yeah. Who else do we have on the show?
Yeah. Well,
who else was on the show? The Ring of Honor show.
Oh, all right. I'm sorry. I was looking for Bobby Fish. I thought you had it out in front of you. I'm pretty sure Bobby is also on the show though. Okay, Roddy Strong wrestled Davey Richards. They went 30 minutes for the ROH World Title. Sounds about right.
Probably incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that match rules. I'm trying because this main evented. All right.
Right.
Homicide, Christopher Daniels, Eddie Edwards, Sanjay Dutt. What else we got here?
I completely forgot about Sanjay Dutt being in Ring of Honor.
Yeah,
he was great in TNA.
Kings of Wrestling. There's a whole.
I remember a lot of those matches. There was a time too when like like I remember the Kings of wrestling Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas on Ring of Honor, and like that was incredible.
That sounds good, yeah.
Yeah, it was really. I think it was World's Greatest Tag Team's like first like indie match, and it was that's what it was.
Damn,
they had a really strange, like their run was weird, right? Because like obviously Cornette loves those guys, and I remember like there was some of the matches didn't hit the way people wanted. There's one of them that I remember loving. That might be the one you're referencing, the first one, but they had a weird time because it was just honestly it was a big deal to get Shelton because Cornette obviously got him as their tires. But again, it's that thing of not everyone that's good on WWE TV is going to fit what Ring of Honor fans want, and it's like a weird. It's always been that way. I mean, you probably see it all the time, Jensen, with guys that leave and then go and wrestle the indies. It's like not everyone is made for that transition.
It happens, yeah. Like for instance, like Cesar Bernodi got it pretty bad in GCW like recently, like just because they just see him as just a generic WWE, AEW dude. It doesn't always work out. But like speaking of generic, I saw somebody in the chat earlier they said something about Von Wagner. Like, y'all ever seen the movie Encino Man with Brendan Fraser?
I've not, no.
What about you, Bob? Remember that movie? Encino Man? It's about a caveman. Brendan Fraser's a caveman. That's Von Wagner looks identical to that dude. Like, oh my God, I can't get it out of my mind. I've watched that Takeover War Games, and there's like these things that just stood out so much to me, and that was one of them. I don't know why.
I feel bad for guys like him because like I get why they like him, like he's this big athlete and he has like a good look, and it's like he's obviously not ready, right?
Yeah. Well, he's ready for what they need him to do. Unfortunately, that's kind of for the direction of where they're at. Like he works, but like it is it's just a different. They're just doing something just totally different over there.
Absolutely.
You got Steen trying to rip Generico's mask off. It's half off. And that's another thing people might not remember about Generico too. Is like part of what made his character so good is he spoke like total gibberish. Just like broken English, Spanish, like multiple, and like no one could understand really what he was talking about. Kind of like delirious in a way. And
that was a big thing with Cornette. That's one of the things that he really despised, right?
Yeah, but I always thought it was so great how Generico explained how he was leaving. How he said he needed to go help the orphans from where he was from, and that he knows of Sami Zayn. They know of each other, but like they're not the same guy. So funny. He's
maintained that too. Like there'll be tweets about it every once in a while. It's tremendous.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one, like, it's so hard to do these shows and not just turn it into like us doing Fed Dead talk, but
right.
The idea that Sami Zayn has been a heel for like 3 years is like, it is insane, man.
Yeah.
He's like one of the greatest baby faces of his generation.
Yeah. No, it really is. And this, by the way, for the storyline, that mask is the mask I was talking about that he put on that chair after he like pretty much beheaded him. Oh wow, yeah, rubbing it up against his wherever he's putting that. Oh yeah, there you go. A few thrusts.
Look at the selling though here, right? This is what. Look for all of the stuff for all of the stuff that guys dismissed. That's the skill set that translated. Because when he became Sami Zayn and it was all different, and he was in Full Sail, he could still sell like that. Kevin Steen could still get heat like this. Like it's.
Yeah.
Look at the blood.
Dude.
Oh man.
And he just licked like a whole palm full of Generico's blood just then. I remember watching this live and being like legitimately thinking to myself, like Kevin Steen might not all be there. Like being like part of this might not be like a gimmick or a part of it. Like this guy just might have a screw loose because he's out here like drinking the blood of other people and stuff. Like that's pretty like at the end of the day, wrestling's fake, y'all. I don't know if people like if you learned this yet, but like you don't have to be out there drinking other people's blood, but he did it.
Yeah, he's like Mick Foley in the sense that he actually seems like one of the more well-adjusted adults in wrestling. But his style of wrestling and his approach to wrestling is objectively insane.
Yeah.
Like you review WWE pay-per-views, you'll see him take bumps sometimes. It's like, why? Like the ones he takes in ladder matches, and it's like, brother, you've been in 8 Money in the Bank matches. Like, just chill. Like, take it easy, man. Sit in the corner.
Well, it's like he would go from this to like talking about how much he likes going to the zoo to see the pandas. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, that was the zoo enthusiast shit. That was a big deal at the time. Bob, you could have got one of those when we was going to go to St. Louis Zoo. Remember that glory trip we were going to plan?
Yeah, it would have been great, man.
Goddamn pandemic.
Just kind of like I like both these guys. I've liked both of them in WWE a whole lot, but I'm ready for them to both kind of leave and see what else they can do. You know?
Yeah.
And you know what? Honestly, in both of their cases, I think there's a lot to be said for criticism of WWE. But what you just said actually just kind of makes sense in general. Wrestling's better when guys move around, man. You stay somewhere for too long. Like, let's be real. If Owens is not going to be the top guy there, it's time for him to move on. He's been the second string guy for now, 6 years? Mm-hmm. There was a couple of chances they could have made him top guy. They chose not to. I think that's their, more for them. But, like, it's, I'm big on that idea. Like, if you're not going to pull the trigger, then just let guys. Because, again, here's the thing. There's a big difference in someone like him is, he isn't going to struggle to get a job in professional wrestling. Right? There's a difference. I think you're absolutely right. I mean, Sami Zayn, if he's not going to turn back babyface, then I'm sure that I think they've explored all avenues for him as a heel at this point.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I get people being upset about it or whatever, but for me, it's just, watch them on a different night of the week. It's,
Yeah. What are you saying, that when someone leaves your favorite wrestling promotion, they're not actually dying? You can still watch them?
Yeah, exactly.
News to me.
Yeah, right. I think there's probably also a part of it for someone like a Steen or a Sami Zayn and stuff that also, like, they know what the future is. That was a really nice. But they look at it and they're like, if we stick around, like, we're gonna be jobbing to like Von Wagner and this like Tony, whatever that guy was, the Grayson Waller, and like these kind of, like, they're probably looking at it and being like, these guys like just came out of the PC doing somersaults, and we're about to be like, they're gonna be the focus of this. Like, we need to get out of here, like, and go do what we know we can do.
Mm-hmm. Look, I think we all have seen enough to know that there are good wrestlers that are, homegrown, and there are good wrestlers that came through this way, and there will always be different results. However, guys that did it this way are always going to look at those dudes a certain way. Now, I'm not in like in a mean way, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sure they have a lot of respect for the dudes that came through that way. But when you're someone like these two, are the perfect example. Like, they're not rushing to be moved aside for these guys. I'm sorry, they're just not. And like, that may be bitter on their part. I don't think it is. It's just natural. Like, it's a different thing. It's you're going to see that in NXT. I think there's a reason that two guys, their contracts end in 3 days in NXT. Two original NXT guys. Like, is what it is, man. That's the way it works.
Yeah. When I also saw, this is a little off topic, but kind of to the same point, because I've been saying this for months, and some people like agree and some people laugh at it and stuff. But like, at the end of the day, like, I just saw Xavier Woods, who I love. I think Xavier Woods is great. Yes. I saw he's hosting a show on Nickelodeon soon, and I'm like, that's exactly what I've been talking about for months. Like, this is the future of the company. Like, it's all about getting on other kid shows. So if you're a guy like Kevin Steen, it's like, do I want to sit around and, like, best case scenario, I wind up on like Double Dare? Or do I get to be a pro wrestler?
People don't realize, man, wrestlers they're more artists than athletes a lot of the time. And, some dudes they want to go back and paint their masterpiece again. They don't want to just constantly shut the TV and get told what they're doing exactly. It's just, Moxley talks about it a lot in that regard. And it's true. That's the way they look at it.
Yeah.
But on the flip side too, like, there's also nothing wrong with being like a Dolph Ziggler who just shows up and tells them what to do. You know what I mean? Gets paid really good money. Like, it really just depends on kind of what you want out of it. That was a really nice diving DDT through the table in the ladder there.
That was incredible. No, we talked about this the other day with and look, I've made a bit of it, but like, the idea that Roddy Strong stays in NXT, like, I have no. I'm like, sure, man. Like, I get it. There's something to be said for, at some point in your career, taking a different role. Not everyone wants to have these matches forever, man. Like, it's
very true.
They're taxing. Like, you know, it's one thing if Generico's or Sami Zayn is thinking to himself, I've taken it easy for the last 4 years, relative. You know, I'm more of a character.
Half and half.
Yeah, that's certainly a way to take that move, right? Like, his head just brainbuster. Good Lord, man.
But see, and once again, these are all moves you can't use in the WWE, which is wild.
Right.
Like, you can't do brain busters. You can't do half and half. I mean, maybe in ladder matches. You can't do the brain buster off the top, which is like what had him really over, was like the brain buster when he used the top turnbuckle and stuff. And he can't do any of this stuff. Like,
yeah.
You know?
Bob, do you remember when he had the double shoulder surgery in WWE?
Who, Sami Zayn?
Yeah, he had like both. I'm pretty sure he had both shoulders worked on.
Was that right when he came in and he faced Cena? Or no, that was just his. That was his one, right?
Yeah, it was because then he.
I want to say like 2018, I believe.
Right. Okay. So since then, he has wrestled much more like a character. There have been exceptions when he's wrestled Steen, obviously. Oh God, look at this. Oh no. But for the most part, he's changed his style. So I wonder where he's at physically. Like if his body's ready to go back in this direction. Look at that. Oh my. See what I'm saying? That's peak Foley. That's like Steen seems like such a well-adjusted guy, and then you see him do stuff like that, and you're just like, man,
yeah,
good luck, man. Good luck getting around.
When JJ says in the chat, you can in AEW, Jensen. Yeah, I know. It's like my whole point is like, I know you're probably just agreeing, JJ, but it's like that's my whole point is like he can do this, but also, and you know, I'm sure you'll see it in this match if I remember correctly. He does it, but like. The brainbuster I'm talking about, like he drops their head on the top turnbuckle. Like it is an awesome move. It looks great. Yeah. I feel like he should just like when he knows it's his last WWE match, he should just do it. Like who would sort of lose at that point? Like you're already leaving. It was pop the crowd. Yeah.
If he was losing like a 4-minute TV, just as like the cut-off spot, you know.
Someone just totally no-sells it, just bounces off and lands it.
Bob, I think I know you well enough to suggest that you're really enjoying this match. Am I right?
Yeah, this has been great.
The physicality in this thing, man. These guys always just kick the shit out of each other, right?
Yeah.
It's the one core narrative thread, right? Like even in recent years, that Kevin Owens has been babyface. One thing's for sure, they're going to just beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
It's a lock.
I mean, you said you could also throw yourself through flaming tables in AEW. I was there live for that. That was unreal. Watching Cody rolling around the ring, like legitimately on fire. That was nuts.
See, I'd imagine that match was even better live because at home, everyone spent the whole match wondering what was wrong with Cody's back.
Right, of course they did.
Because
that's what to pay attention to. Yeah.
Andrade legitimately did not have one tweet about him, and he was incredible in that match because people were so busy talking about Cody's back. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then what they didn't catch on screen was a few things, but like the fans, dude, it's so funny because like I hear it all around me. Before Cody came out, everyone's asking the people they're with, "Hey, we cheering and booing Cody." Like it's not even like an organic like everyone hates him. It's like what's the cool thing to do right now? Are we gonna cheer and boo?
The show. Yeah.
And then at the end of the show, like when it was over, Cody did a speech to the crowd, and the whole place was on their feet going crazy cheering for the guy. Like not one boo in that building.
Yeah, it's not hatred. It's just a bit at this point. I mean, look, people on Twitter hate him, but the people in the stands don't really. I don't think.
No.
You know?
It was fun, and then but it was interesting because he does this whole promo and the place is going nuts. And then I realized him pick up the golden shovel and walk it to the back with him. And I'm like, oh, damn, that's a pretty heelish thing. He's going to keep using that golden shovel. Like, he's really, but that's the thing. It's so calculated. He's trolling the audience. Like the fans that think that they like know better than ever. Like, he's working all of y'all. Like,
I agree. I worry about it because I hope he doesn't get lost in it, you know, because you can overthink wrestling.
Yeah.
And, I'm intrigued what his next program is. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Very intrigued. Because obviously he's
we'll
worked 2 heels, and ultimately against Andrade and Malachi, he got like the triumphant win, right? I'm intrigued if next is another Shades of Grey deal, or he like actually feuds with a babyface. Because then it will get really interesting to me. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, but it's great that I think he can play both sides of that. Like, it keeps people interested, and it's kind of like the Cena thing back in like the early 2000s. It's like, as long as they're making noise, that's what really matters. It'd be different if he was coming out to crickets. Like, that's a problem.
Yeah, that's what I said to Bob when the chat buries him.
Well, was that Sinclair that just took that?
Yeah. Bless Todd, man. He's been there for time. He's still there.
Dude, honestly, like, we don't talk about it enough. Out of all the people on the Ring of Honor roster, and there's some damn good talent there, like in ring, Todd Sinclair is the first person that AEW should hire. Like, that dude deserves a shot in a big company. He's been around so long.
It's worth noting while Steen package pile drives the referee.
Was that Bryce Mitchell?
I'm not sure, but
it looked kind of like him.
Earlier on, when we were talking shop, Generico busted out the brain buster on the apron, and it was as disgusting as it sounds. This match is, it's so excessive, but it's the main event of Final Battle. Like, this is the time to be excessive, like, go for it. Swing for the fences, man. Leave every false finish out in that ring.
And this here is more allusions to, like, the chair is, like, really pivotal in kind of this whole story with, like, the mask thing I keep talking about. And they keep setting the chair up. Steen with a package pile driver through the open chair.
Good Lord.
Looks so good. Remember in the WWE, like, once again, it's been a long time since I watched it, but, like, I know there was a minute there he was doing the package pile driver, but he was, like, spinning it out to the side like a power bomb.
It looked so uncomfortable.
It did. It didn't even look, but it was just a giant tease for, like, us that knew what he wanted to do. I'd see him in that position. He'd be like, package pile driver. Oh, not a package pile driver.
What a great shot that was of Steen's bloody face. Did you see that? Like, he has this thing he can do, and it's like, this is is a him thing. His eyes, man, like, when he wants to, he can look like the most just vile creature. There's just nothing behind those eyes. The best example of it in WWE, if you haven't seen a lot of the Ring of Honor stuff, is his facial when Jericho pulls out the list of KO, and he goes, "Why's my name?" And they cut back to Kevin's face, and he has that. He looks insane, and it isn't wrestling insane where the guys running their hands through their hair like Edge. It's it's good shit, man. That's one of his best skills,
Yeah, that was really well done. The whole, I thought that whole story with Jericho and Steen was really, really good.
That's one of the best segments they've ever done. That friendship deal.
Yeah,
that was a masterpiece. Yeah, incredible segment.
And then Vince hated their WrestleMania match for whatever reason, even though it was a good match.
A tremendous documentary bit that was. Tremendous. Oh.
So Generico getting his comeback. The Helluva kick. That'd be his finish nowadays, but not on the indies where you can do a lot cooler moves. And he's going to the top.
Here we go.
He's going for the brain buster.
The folks should see what you're talking about here.
So sick.
Yeah,
it's a good move.
Oh my god. Yeah,
that was like one of the. That one was like one of the worst. That was insane. Did you see that thing fell? Oh, good Lord.
I remember the finish of this match. Joe, what I was saying earlier, this has to be the match I was thinking of before we went live, where I remember the finish of this one. Yeah, that's such a good move, especially when you do it to someone as big as Steen. Like, it just looks so impressive.
It's worth saying, man, like, Bob, maybe I'm wrong on this. Is 2010 the year of WWE that everyone agrees was really terrible? Is that the guest host year?
I believe so, yeah, because I wasn't watching then. 2009, 2010, I didn't watch. So
2010, TNA is when Hogan comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Awful TV, the worst stuff they've ever produced. And imagine the ground that covers. This show ended with Davey and Roddy, and then this match is like just a 1 hour block of wrestling.
Yeah.
And this isn't even really considered like a golden era of Ring of Honor. This feud is, but the other stuff's kind of like people are spotty on it. It's a good example of like where they were at as a promotion and why people kind of so fondly remember. Here's the some of the visuals you're referencing, Jensen, here.
Yeah, I remember this really vividly. We got Steen on the ground, on his knees, holding Generico's mask up. Generico's holding the steel chair, and he's contemplating, like, so Steen gives him his mask back, and now it's like, are they gonna, like, is this settled now? And Steen's literally begging.
Look at this, man. This is fucking incredible. Look, you can, this is the thing is, there's a lot of nuanced wrestling if you want, but Look at that shot.
That is a Ken Griffey
Famous.
Jr. swing for the fences right there.
Look, man, if you're gonna take one, like at least it was the finish, and it had drama, right? It was like the end of a movie. It was good shit.
Yeah,
That's a classic, folks. That is a
Incredible.
classic.
Incredible.
Wow.
match.
Okay. That I'm assuming, Paul, that's the first time you've seen that, right?
Yes.
And you've obviously seen those guys wrestle a hell of a lot because they wrestle on every television in the World Wrestling Federation.
Correct.
Your thoughts? I'm not even saying that as like a contrast and compare because they had great matches in WWE too. But your thoughts on that version of it?
Yeah, no, that was excellent. It was not like anything I've ever seen the two of them do, and I'm glad I got to see it because, like I said, they're really two of my favorite WWE guys the past decade or so, and that was awesome.
Incredible match, Jensen. You remembered it well. You said the finish before we went on the air here, just as good as you remember.
Yeah, I mean, especially when once again, this isn't me talking trash on the WWE. It's refreshing when you like get to like watch that stuff, and it's like, man, I forgot. It's like I've seen so much of Steen and Generico as like what they've been the last handful of years, and then it's like it's just refreshing to see, and it's something that gets me really excited to see what either or both of them wind up doing if they do in fact leave the WWE, because like I think that Steen could have a whole second career if he leaves, and same with Generico. Like there's just so much possibility there for both guys, and it is sad in a lot of ways, and it isn't just them; it's a lot of these guys and girls that they grew up WWE fans. Like Kevin Steen learned English by listening to Jim Ross on commentary.
God bless, man.
Like, I mean, if that isn't a lifelong fan, I don't know what is. And like, even these guys are kind of like, all right, I've been there, I've done that. Like, they want out now. And it's like, it just kind of, I don't know. I have a lot of feelings about all that, it's sad to see a guy like Steen who like might want out now, even though it's where he's always wanted to work. But then at the same time, it's like, he's got to be so excited. No, when you're any of those guys, when you're a Roderick Strong or a Kevin Steen or an AJ Styles or any of these kind of guys, and you see the pop that Adam Cole gets the first night he shows up on AEW, and in the backstage of just him like hugging people, talking it's the best night of his career and all this stuff, you've got to see that and be like, I want that. Like I forgot what it feels like to have that.
It's it's weird because I think as fans, all of us are fired up for the possibility of those guys. We don't have to be vague about in AEW, right? As you just referenced, that we don't have to pretend, well, maybe they'll go to Impact. No. It would be AEW if they left, and that's awesome. It's a real shame that WWE is in the state where it is as a fan, because, like, frankly, they can only, get in so many of these guys to safety, right? And, like, it's just wrestling would be in a better place if the other national promotion operated more like a wrestling promotion. And I'm not asking for it to be 2000 again, but brother, I would take 2016 WWE every day of the week over what we're getting right now. And it's just a shame because there was a time when NXT was hot. Yeah. There was a sense of change and optimism, and it does feel like it's basically gone now. But
yeah, it's unfortunate. It is what it is now. And that's the thing where, like we say, they'll head to AEW, and that is where I expect they'd go. But like even then, because they're actually treated as independent contractors, like you're also potentially in GCW, stuff on independentwrestling.tv, other companies in Forbidden Door like Impact Wrestling and New Japan. I mean, it's just like, if you want to truly be an independent contractor, the WWE is not the place for you. And if you want to dedicate your whole everything to the WWE and become a part of that system, just know what you're signing up for. Like, I don't fault people who sign there that do what's right for them and their families and make money and travel the world and the whole deal. But just don't be the kind of wrestler that does that and then complains on Twitter about your position on the show. Like that's the kind of stuff that I get upset with is that kind of stuff where it's like, you know what you've resigned for. So like, it just is what it is. If you want to bet on yourself and you want to be a professional wrestler again, and you want to be a true independent contractor, WWE is not the place to be doing that. So
there's a lot of evidence right now that you're right. I mean, no one's exactly signing unsure of what they're getting themselves into, right? With the last 2 years have had, 150 releases. I think everyone knows what they're getting themselves into at this point. So, yeah, I agree with you. Okay. Let's do some plugs and promotion. Steven Jensen, put yourself over, pal.
All right. Y'all can find me on Twitter at FightTalk_, FIGHTTALK_. If you want to check out some great professional wrestling, go to independentwrestling.tv or IWTV.live. That's 2 ways to get to the same place. Use code FightTalk, all as one word, no spaces. That helps me out when you use that code. Last time I checked, they literally have like 6,000 shows from like 272 promotions on there right now. So it's like, if you want to call yourself a wrestling fan and for $9.99 a month, you can't find one thing you like on that platform, pro wrestling probably isn't for you anymore. So check that out. Tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern, live rounds, me and Doug, RVD Tito for Life channel. We just brought on a new sponsor to the show, Unkind Esports, which is actually run by Rob Van Dam. So it's pretty cool having like the crossover there. And I love video games. So want to give a shout out to Unkind Esports and really happy about the new partnership we got over there. This Saturday, Fightful Fight Night, we're doing UFC 269. We got Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Pena for the bantamweight title, and we have Charles Oliveira defending the lightweight title against Dustin Poirier. That'll be youtube.com/Fightful. It'll be me, Jeremy Lambert, if he's able to do the show. Doug Bateman will be there. Rob Wilkins will be there. And Sean Ross Sapp's usually a game time decision. He usually joins us as well. So we'll be live for the co-main and main event of UFC 269, once again on the Fightful YouTube channel and FightfulSelect.com. Weekender podcast every Sunday covering the indies and a whole bunch of stuff. Subscribe to FightfulSelect.com.
There you go, Bob. Follow that.
Yeah, you follow me on Twitter, RobertO'Neill31. You go sign up for Late Night Grin at latenightgrin.com. Watch NXT with Joe in about an hour. I will not be there.
Coward.
And yeah, we got a bunch of other stuff over there. Some stuff that we haven't announced yet, and some stuff that you expect every week. So check that out.
Well, news to me. Okay. Apparently, there's stuff that's not been announced is coming soon. I look forward to that, like I will. This could be special tonight, folks. Listen, I'm trying to promote this Patreon more because we do some good stuff there. But like me watching NXT 2.0 for the first time, it feels like saying, catastrophic could happen tonight. It feels like this could be a real. You may see a man break live on the air. I'm not going to be over dramatic or sell, but it could be something. So join me there in about 45 minutes. I'll probably go live in about 35. And yeah, don't follow me on Twitter. I hate Twitter. Stop tweeting. It's bad. And I'll see you all there. Jensen, take us home, pal.
All right. See y'all next time, next Tuesday. Don't know what we'll be talking about. Probably Ring of Honor. Don't know who's going to be here. Don't know who can make the show. But we always have a good time here. And also make sure to check out Fightful Gaming. Want to give them a shout out. Twitch. We don't do enough promotion for that. Twitch, Fightful Gaming. Check that out. Mm-hmm. Until next Tuesday, right here, same place, same time, 6:05 p.m. Eastern time. The Distraction, Fightful. Support us. See y'all later.